What do you get when you take a cozy farm sim and add a dash of magic to it, an incredibly story-driven narrative, and fully voice-acted characters? The answer to that is a witchy cottagecore farm/life sim called Wylde Flowers, releasing on Steam and Switch on September 20th, 2022, as well as on Apple Arcade. In the spirit of transparency, this video is being sponsored by Dry Dock Studios, the developers of the game, but all they've asked me to do is to make a video in, and I quote, a style that I enjoy. So here we are, and I'll just say it now, this game is awesome. In Wylde Flowers, you play as Tara, a girl who just moved to the island of Fairhaven to take care of her aging grandmother Hazel, helping out around the garden, cooking meals in the kitchen, and tending to the cauldron in the basement because Hazel and her granddaughter Tara both happen to be witches. Tara just doesn't know it yet. When you first arrive on the island, you're given a taste of the over 20 hours of fantastic voice-acted dialogue that this game has.
Excuse me, would you happen to know the way to Hazel Wylde's farm?
Tara? Oh my goodness, it really is you, isn't it?
Lena? I haven't seen you since I was tiny. It's good to see you again.
I heard you were coming to stay with your grandma Hazel. Now, do you remember the way?
As you continue to wander around and meet people, you quickly realize that every single one of the 29 NPCs has their own unique voice, accent, and inflection that really add to the appeal of the game, making me genuinely want to talk to everyone I pass to hear what they have to say. After all, these are professional voice actors here. Actors like Sissy Jones, the voice of Delilah from Firewatch, Valerie Rose Lohman, the main narrator in What Remains of Edith Finch, and Ray Chase, the voice of Noctis from Final Fantasy XV, just to name a few. The lip syncing is pretty well done too, which is a nice touch. And just like in Stardew Valley and many other farm sims, very early on, you're tasked by the incredibly quirky and humble mayor with introducing yourself to everyone in Fairhaven, and in quite a fun way.
We're a friendly town here at Fairhaven. We want to make sure you're settled in well. To that end, we want you to meet everyone, so we've made it a little game. The fine Fairhaven folk will let me know after they've met you. That way, I can give you a prize after you've met everyone. It's really quite clever and progressive.
Plus a little bit creepy.
You're funny. Anyway, come and see me after you've met everyone.
I won't introduce you to everyone, as that would take forever, but have a listen to a few of my favorites and tell me these voices aren't well done.
Guten Tag. You're Hazel's granddaughter, aren't you?
Yes. Are you German? And also psychic?
I'm Bruno. Don't actually speak much of my native tongue, but I try to keep up some traditions. And you're just a picture of your grandma when she was a girl.
Hello. Are you my mom's new friend?
Depends. Who's your mom?
Lena.
Then yes. Nice to meet you. I'm Tara.
Nice to meet you too. I'm Finn.
Oh, sorry. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Natalia, and I own the blacksmith. I can melt down ore into ingots and upgrade any of your farm tools for you.
Hi, I'm Tara. I just moved to town.
You look just like I pictured.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, being Hazel's granddaughter, I mean.
Oh, and you are?
Been many things, but if it's a name you're looking for, folks here call me Shelby.
See what I mean? Talking to the people of Fairhaven is just so enjoyable to do, and they're all interesting enough that I actually want to talk to them, not just quickly click through their dialogue in an effort to slowly boost my friendship with them. As far as gameplay is concerned in Wylde Flowers, it's very clear that the story is the main focus of the game, with gameplay taking somewhat of a backseat. In other words, it's a narrative-first, farm sim second kind of game. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, as it lends itself to being even more casual of a game, one that can be enjoyed with little to no frustrations along the way. If you're looking for a farm sim with super deep mechanics, a complex crafting system, and plenty of challenge, you will not find that here. But what you will find is a wonderfully emotional and heartfelt storyline that keeps you wanting to come back to find out what happens next, characters that are actually interesting to talk to, and have I mentioned the voice acting? Speaking of gameplay though, let's talk farming. First off, the farm is more of a garden, at least to begin with, but it can be expanded later in the game to include a larger farm plot, as well as space for a cozy little greenhouse. All gardening is done in garden beds, which you have to craft yourself and then can place anywhere within the allotted space. Interact with the garden bed to plant any of the 17 different crop or tree seeds, assuming you have them in your inventory, and then again to water it. There's no hotbar or tool belt to mess around with, so simply interacting with something will prompt Terra to use the correct tool, be that a watering can, axe, pickaxe, fishing rod, and so on. Like in most farm sims, crops can be grown in all 4 seasons, including winter, and seeds can be picked up from, you guessed it, the general store. But one thing that I love about how this is handled is that not only can you see what seeds are currently being sold, but also what else can be sold that the shop isn't currently selling, such as out-of-season seeds, for example. And because Terra's a witch, instead of using fertilizer, magical potions and spell casting are used instead to give a wide variety of effects to your crops. There are also animals in the game that you can look after once you enlist the local carpenter's assistance to restore Hazel's old barn and coop. I haven't gotten to this stage of the game yet myself, but from what I can tell, aside from looking absolutely adorable, there's nothing too terribly revolutionary going on here. Cows, chicken, and sheep are the only 3 animals to my knowledge, but as far as how you can interact with them, I'm not 100% sure. I would guess petting and feeding, and that you can harvest their produce for cooking and crafting purposes as well as to sell, but I'm not certain. This is basically just my way of telling you that animals exist in the game of Wylde Flowers and that they're adorable, in case you were curious. For those of you who dislike Stardew Valley's fishing minigame, or fishing minigames in general for that matter, you'll be pleased to know that there isn't one, at least not by my definition. All you have to do is click once when a fish bites, and it's not even that picky about the timing. If that's still too much for you though, you can completely disable the timing aspect of fishing from the settings, removing the challenge altogether. There are 56 different fish to be caught across 6 different regions: river, lake, and ocean, as well as 3 other mystery locations that aren't revealed from the start. But seeing as how there's a ferry, which you can purchase a ticket for, as well as magic, maybe teleporting, you can bet there will be travel to other locations as an option. And not only can you catch fish, but recipes in a bottle, unlocking more options in the kitchen. Speaking of, Wylde Flowers gives me old school Harvest Moon vibes when it comes to cooking, having different recipes categorized by the appliance they're cooked at. You don't have to watch the cooking channel every Wednesday morning or anything to get the required tools, but you can make raw ingredients like sugar to be used in other recipes, as well as cook dishes with the pot, frying pan, and oven. You can also make drinks and desserts, and across all these recipes, there are, assuming I counted correctly, 153. That's a lot of recipes. And there's a ton of cultural diversity among them as well, being able to cook things like sushi, Moroccan carrot soup, cabbage soup, schnitzel, pav bhaji, Cape Malay curry, arroz con gandules, and more. Pardon my pronunciations. And if you're anything like me, you'll want to collect and cook them all, especially because your actions each day are limited by your stamina, and eating food is, of course, a great way to replenish that. When it comes to crafting, it's a pretty simple system that requires you to have the right machine for the task at hand, the correct materials in your inventory, and then just click a button, and boom, you've got that crafted item. There's a building on Hazel's property dedicated to housing all of the different crafting stations, known as the tool shed. It starts out pretty small, but it too can be expanded over time, which will definitely be needed as there are 10 different crafting stations / machines, far too many to fit in the tiny footprint of the starter shed. As you build these machines, you'll be able to see under the Hobbies section of your crafting menu all the different items that you've unlocked to be able to craft, including things like beeswax candles, beer and wine, juices, jewelry, cloth, paper, cheese, and more. In order to make all those various machines, however, a trip to the mines is in order to acquire the ores necessary. You know, the usual copper, iron, silver, and gold. These ores can be made into bars at the blacksmith and then used for a variety of crafting recipes, as well as to upgrade your tools, allowing you to cut down bigger trees and mine more, all while consuming less stamina in the process. But how you gain access to the mines, which appear to have collapsed, I'll leave that for you to discover on your own. As for the magic in Wylde Flowers, I myself haven't gotten too deep into the game yet, only about an hour and a half or so you should be fairly spoiler-free here. But in the town of Fairhaven, there's something known as the Coven, a group of witches and wizards of which Grandma Hazel is a member of. And shortly after arriving, Tara is introduced to as well. It's through this coven that potions are learned, spells are memorized, and transcriptions are acquired, allowing for all sorts of fun gameplay mechanics. I mentioned earlier that you can cast spells and pour potions on your crops, but judging from these clips here, you can also fly a broom and transform into a cat. I'm sure that list doesn't end there, but that's all I've personally gotten to see so far. The basement of Hazel's home, where your cauldron lives, is also able to be decked out with various witchy stations for potion brewing, a pestle and mortar for ingredient preparation, and other magical endeavors, and is fully customizable just like the tool shed. My favorite part about the game, though, has got to be the villagers. They're all so unique and have fantastically designed personalities, even if some of them lack a bit of said personality.
My mom said I should make an effort to make you feel welcome in town or whatever. So, hi, I guess. I'm Juliet.
Hey, Juliet. It's nice to meet you.
Okay, bye.
They all have different backstories, come from different cultures, have different sexual preferences, live lives outside of their jobs, and are more than a walking relationship meter that needs filled, although Wylde Flowers has those as well, and the attention to detail there is awesome. Not only do you get a heart meter to show your relationship progress with someone, but you also get a photo of them, a silhouetted teaser of gifts to give that they might like, a description of them, including hobbies and their relationship to other villagers, and for those that own a shop, it even includes their store hours. So in case, for example, you can't remember if the blacksmith is open at 4 p.m. on a Thursday, you can check at any time from anywhere. The writing for all the villagers is also fantastic, with subtle hints of humor that left me laughing and smiling on multiple occasions, like this interaction between Tara and her grandmother, Hazel.
So, the trapdoor under the rug? What is it for? Preserves and pickles? Or old machinery?
It's not important, honeybee. Will you be out and about tonight?
Probably, but
Could you fetch me some moonflower? It only blooms after sunset. You'll know it by the white blossoms. See, my moonflower tea blend makes me feel so healthy. I get a blush on these old cheeks. Go right past Parker's workshop into the woods and you'll find what you need.
I feel like I'm getting redirected here.
At my age, it's awfully hard to hear certain things. Did you put the rug back in place?
Yes, Grandma, but are you brewing moonshine down there? You can tell me if you're brewing moonshine.
I can already taste that tea.
That was normal.
Writing like this can make a good game into a great game, and I honestly think that's what we have on our hands here. There is also romance and marriage available with one of the 7 different eligible villagers, and even between some of the villagers themselves. They all have unique wedding outfits, and dang do they clean up nice. I know very little about how the romance system works though, what all comes along with getting married, what happens if you don't, etc. But I do know that once you get married, your spouse will move in with you, but children are not currently an option. Wylde Flowers is also incredibly accessible and has so many quality of life features, it's amazing. First and foremost, you can adjust the speed of the days. By default, 10 minutes in game equals about 6 seconds in real life, coming out to a 17-minute day if you were to wake up at 7 a.m. and go to bed at midnight, assuming you don't do any activities that pause time, like talking to people or being in menus. Speeding things up reduces that day from 17 minutes down to 11 minutes, and slowing the day down turns that day into just shy of an hour at roughly 56 minutes long. The game also has controller support, and if you choose to play on Steam with a mouse and keyboard, you can not only use a combination of mouse and keyboard, but exclusively one or the other if you choose. I personally love this because with a mouse, you can click and hold to move Tara around, allowing for joystick-like control, meaning you can match the speed of someone like Grandma Hazel as she slowly walks around. Why can't more games do that? The game is available in more than 16 languages and also autosaves pretty much constantly, so you can stop playing at any point during the day and your progress will be saved. And speaking of saves, you can reload your save not only from the beginning of the current day, but also from several days in the past, allowing you to change your mind if you make a decision that you're not happy with. Fences can be vaulted over, making navigating the map much easier, and even though items have to be sold to specific vendors, for example, you can only sell an iron bar to Natalia, the blacksmith, instead of the general store, the item will tell you who is willing to purchase it, so there's no guesswork to be done there. And for each quest, there's also the option to receive a hint if you get stuck. These can be pretty helpful, but without straight up telling you exactly what to do, it's a pretty nice happy medium. Oh, and did I mention that inventory capacity is unlimited? Because it is. There are just so many good things to look forward to with Wylde Flowers, and I cannot wait to play it more for myself. The music is fantastic as it was performed by a live orchestra, and the over 7+ hours of cutscenes, all of which are fully voiced, have me very much excited to see more of them, as the ones I've seen already were really well done. Is it the hardest, most challenging game out there with the most engaging gameplay to ever exist? No, not even close, but that's not what it's aiming to be. The self-proclaimed cozy, witchy, cottagecore farm/life sim, all about telling an emotional and exciting story, however, has hit the mark it was aiming for, if you ask me. Once again, the game releases on September 20th, 2022 on Steam and Switch, and will be available for $25 US, at least on Steam. I will absolutely be playing more of this, most likely over on my Twitch channel, so if you're not following over there and would care to, feel free to come on by. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. Central Standard. So, what do you think about Wylde Flowers? Does this look like something you'd play? Why or why not? I'd love to hear your thoughts and have a discussion with you guys down in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video though, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hear me out. My name's DoctorDDub, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, as always, take care.